Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today we are talking about chapter 1.4 types of business organizations. Specifically 1.4.1, which is the main features and the different form of business organizations. Okay. Now the syllabus says I should explain to you sole traders, partnerships, private and public limited companies, franchise and joint ventures, right? And I should explain to you the difference between unincorporated business and limited companies, concept and risk, ownership and limited liability, recommend and justify a suitable form of business organization to owners, management in a given situation, and the last point is business organization in a public sector, therefore public corporated. Now what I will do, okay, because all of these I have to explain, so instead of taking this one point at a time as we did in the other one, I will just tell you, like, for example, sole trader and how and what advantages and disadvantages and risks and limited liability. Basically I'll classify it according to the type of organization rather than the points. Okay, so I'll tell you each points of each one by one. Okay, so it won't be point wise according to the syllabus, but it will cover everything, right? So just listen to this. Okay, you should be all right at the end of this, right? Okay, what is number one? The syllabus says number one is sole trader. So what is a sole trader? A sole trader is an organization owned and controlled by one person. Okay, remember that a sole trader is one person. Okay, not that hard. Sole trader, one person. Sole trader can employ other workers, but only he or she invests in their own business. Okay, so one person starts the business, one person runs the business. He has every responsibility on his head. All right, so if something goes wrong, this one person is responsible to fix it. Okay, rest of no matter how many other people are working there, they are employees and not the owner of the business. The owner of the business is the one who takes complete responsibility because he's the only owner, and he does not share his responsibility with someone else. He has the complete responsibility to run the whole thing. Okay, so if something goes wrong, makes a wrong product, something gets spoiled, raw materials are not there on time, the work stops because there is no raw material, the work stops because there is no electricity, and he needs to meet a target, for example, the whole responsibility lies under one guy, one sole owner. Okay, he cannot be a company, he cannot be an entity, he has to be a human being, for example. Okay, one guy who starts the business. So remember, sole means one. Okay, sole trader, sole proprietor, sole proprietorship, one person. Okay, because sole, one. Okay, now to tell you the advantage of being a sole trader. Okay, there are many advantages, by the way. It is very easy to set up. Okay, very low legal formalities. There is not much legal formalities. The government will help you out. They will give you discounted premises. You get tax breaks. You get a load of stuff. Okay, because you are starting something new. Okay, it does not mean, however, that a sole trader cannot change into something else down the line. Okay, he has to be, at the moment, as a sole trader, he has to be this one person, and then down the line he can have partnership, he can have limited companies, he can have unlimited companies, whatever the hell he wants. Okay, but at the moment he's a sole trader, and sole trader is very easy to set up, very less formalities, and the government will help you out. Less amount of capital is being invested, you know. You'll only keep the number of employees that you can afford, so very less capital is actually needed. Okay, all you need seriously is a business idea to start a sole trader business. Okay, the government will help you out, and you get a lot of advantages from the government and from everybody else. Okay, you don't even have to employ a person. You can be this one person who does everything, right? At the start, this is like, let's say, the first step of everything. Okay, so whichever company you think about, right, multinational organizations, they all started with this one person sitting down with an idea and making something of it. Everybody else joins later. Okay, even the employees, they join later down the line. Okay, employees don't come from the first day. Okay, so this one guy sits there with a business idea, called the sole trader, very easy to register with the government companies and all, right? gets a tax break, gets loads of breaks, and very easy. Okay. Now the advantage, another advantage is he has full control over his business, right? So, for example, I don't know, he wants to shut his doors for, maybe he's tired, he doesn't want to work, right? So he can just shut his doors, and that's it. Okay, he doesn't have to complain, he doesn't have to tell anybody, he doesn't have to give notices, he doesn't have to do anything. Just close the doors, and you're done. Sole trader. That's easy, how easy it is. If he wants, for example, if he wants to make product A, then he can make product A. Maybe if he wants to make product B, he can go and make product B. Okay, he can do whatever he wants. He can name his company as he wants, he can make products as he wants. Okay, he can do whatever in his company as he wants. He can work at night, he can work at day, he can work in the evening, he can work in weekends, he can do whatever. So he has full control over how he works, how his business works, and what it does. Okay, how much to sell it for, how much to make or not to make. If he wants to go on holidays for 2 days, he just closes his doors, and that's it, done. Sole trader, businessman. Okay, he receives a lot of profit. Okay, since there is only one owner, he or she receives all the profit of the company. Okay, so mind you, he or she receives all the profit, and he and she receives all the losses. Okay, so if he makes a profit, she makes a profit, he gets or she gets all the profit. Okay, however, if they make a loss, he or she gets all the losses, and nobody shares nothing with them. Even if he has employees, even if he doesn't have employees, they don't share his loss or profit. Okay, they're just there to do one job. They finish their job, they go home, and that's it, game over. Okay, there is no profit sharing or loss sharing. Anyway, the fourth advantage is personal. Since it's a small and form of business, the owner can easily create and maintain contacts with customer, right? So this is very important. Okay, very small business. Okay, so he has personal touch with the customer, knows the ins and outs of the whole thing, right? Can talk to the customer, find out if the customer maybe wants, I don't know, something else. Okay, can personalize stuff for the customer, you see. So that's an advantage, you see. So if a customer, I don't know, doesn't want red color something and wants blue color something, he or she can make it blue color in a minute. Okay, because he or she makes the decisions. So there we have it. Advantages of being a sole trader. I'm sure you're thinking about being one very soon, but hold on your horses, there are disadvantages. Okay, what is a disadvantage? Disadvantage is unlimited liability. Okay, now you have to understand this word because I'll be repeating it from time to time in every explanation. Unlimited liability basically just means the whole responsibility is yours. Okay, and you do not share your responsibilities with anybody, right? So if an employee doesn't show up, this is your problem. Nobody else's problem. This is your problem. If the raw materials don't show up, this is your problem. Okay. If, for example, I don't know, something goes wrong at night, this is your problem. Okay. If you don't sell anything, for example, you're making products but you're not selling, this is your problem. Okay. If, for example, I don't know, you make a loss. Okay. For example, maybe you made something and it expired. Okay, the whole expired lot is yours. Okay, so the unlimited liability, there are two types of liability. There is a limited liability, okay, and unlimited liability. Now I want to explain limited and unlimited liability, excluding the context I'm talking about. Okay, a limited liability is where you have a limited amount of responsibilities. Okay, and unlimited liability basically means the whole thing is yours. Okay, so unlimited liability means the whole tension is yours, there is no limit to it. And a limited liability simply means a certain part of the tension is yours and somebody else shares with you, for example. So he or she takes a bit of responsibility. So unlimited liability in a sole proprietor or sole partnership, sole trader. Another disadvantage is full responsibility. Since there is only one owner, the sole owner has to undertake all running activities. He or she does not have anyone to share the responsibility with. The overload and risk are fully concentrated on him or her. For example, if let's say a sole trader, right? Sole trader goes sick for a week. That's it. The business closed. right? Nobody is running his business because he's a sole trader. He's the only one responsibility. He has unlimited liability. Okay, everything rests on his shoulders. If he or she goes sick, that's it. The business is closed for a week because the owner is closed for a week. Okay, or cannot work for a week. Okay, what is there is another disadvantage called lack of capital, right? So let's say one guy, right? So one guy has a certain amount of money. Okay, $100, $1,000, $10,000, a lakh. That's about it, isn't it? Okay, a individual person, a sole ownership, a person who's just starting out doesn't have more money, does he? Right? Even a lakh is too much. I must be crazy. $10,000 maybe, right? That's about it. Okay, so when he or she starts a business, okay, there is a rolling of money, but it doesn't come till you make a profit. Okay, so if they want to expand, for example, if they already have a soap making line and they're making lots of soaps, and now they want to make, I don't know, a hand soap, and like for example they need new equipments for it, right? They have to wait. Okay, because he or she has spent all their money on one sort of equipment and one line, and they're making one kind of soap, right? They cannot, like for example, make a lot of more investments and get a new line to make new kind of products or something, right? They can do, obviously they can, but there is a very limited amount of money the person has, so he or she has to wait to make enough profit in order to invest back in the business, right? Because he or she also has house. Okay, they also have to eat. Okay, so he or she cannot spend all the money, put all the money back into the business. They have to live, they need some money, and there they are. Lack of capital. Okay, lack of continuity. Okay, I'll be repeating this more often, so you have to understand this. Lack of continuity basically means if the sole owner dies or retires. Okay, for example, the sole owner is like tired. Okay, he or she just wants to retire. Okay, that's it, the business is closed. Okay, because one guy to invest the money, he's gone retired, that's it, end of the business. Okay, and if he or she dies, still that's it, isn't it? End of the story. Okay, so lack of continuity. Okay, we'll keep repeating this, lack of continuity. Okay, lack of continuity basically means one guy starts the business, runs the business successfully, whatever, retires or dies, right? He or she might retire because they're too tired. Okay, they've grown all old and stuff, and they retire. So when they retire, that's it, lack of continuity, the business is closed, and nobody else is responsible for it, so it cannot continue. Okay, even though if the employees are still there, it will continue for a bit, maybe a day or two, a month or two, and then they will go like, where is the owner? And then if the owner dies, and that's it, really. Lack of continuity, believe me. Okay, now we come to partnerships. Okay, the second part of the syllabus is partnerships. Partnership is a legal agreement between two or more parties, right? So a partner, it doesn't have to be two parties, it could be more than two. Okay, up to 20 is called partnership, you see. Okay, there is a limit, obviously, up to 20. Okay, anything more than 20 is not partnership anymore, then you become something else. I'll explain later. Anyway, so a partnership, a legal agreement between two parties, two or more parties, right? So this kind of a business is nice. One of the partner can become sleeping partner. Okay, he's not actually sleeping with the partner, you understand that. A sleeping partner basically just means he invests money, okay, and just doesn't look into the business. He just invests money, and the other guy, the active partner, the other guy is called active partner, by the way. The active partner is controlling the day-to-day activities of the business and taking care of it and making all the decisions and something. So this is called a sleeping partner and a active partner. In other form, two of the partners can be active, 3 of them can be active, 20 of them can be active. I don't know, it could work that way. It doesn't usually, but it can do. Okay, so what are the advantages of being a partner or advantages of partnership? Okay, number one, it is easy to set up, right? Similar to sole trader, there are very few legal paperwork that you have to sign, except that, of course, partnership agreement is one of them. So easy to set up, very few legal requirements. Partnership is a legal document that all partners have to sign. Which forms of this is no need to publish annual financial accounts, right? They don't have any need to publish annual financial reports. However, I am sure they have to show it to each other. So no need to publish. However, they still have to, you know, be on the same page, as to speak. Okay, partner can provide new skills and ideas. Okay, for example, a person has one sets of skills. Okay, he partners with another person and he has maybe a different set of skills. Okay, so they both can share their set of skills. One of them could be, I don't know, a master in making products. The other one could be a master in selling products. I don't know, something like that. And so a new partner can introduce new things to the company. And the last point is more capital investment. Okay, so one person, sorry, two people in a partnership can have more money than one person can. Okay, so that's one more advantage, right? So if you have, like, for example, let's say 20 people in a partnership, 5 people in a partnership, 10 people in a partnership, 10 people would have more money than, a sole trader. Okay, so more capital to invest. Maybe the other partner became a partner, okay, to invest money, for example. Okay, so for example, I tell somebody who's running maybe a business, okay, and I go to them and I tell them, well, I will invest, I don't know, $10,000 with you, okay, as long as I am the owner of, let's say, 30% of the business. Okay, so I get 30% of whatever he or she earns. Okay, I spend money and then I get back my money in form of profits. Okay, whatever profit they make after all the expenses have been taken out, I get 30% of that share, or similar to that. Okay, so 1 to 20 partners, and every partner has a percentage of the business, as to speak. Okay, so disadvantages. Okay, there are a lot of disadvantages as well of being a partner. Okay, number one is conflicts. Okay, arguments may occur between partner while making decisions. Okay, so a person says, well, I want to make a red color soap. Okay, and the other one goes like, no, it has to be green. Okay, because I like green, for example. Okay, so one person could choose a color or maybe design a logo, and the other person goes like, no, 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 the logo has to be more interesting or bigger, or I don't know, with different colors or something. So there could be a lot of conflicts, okay, between partners, because everybody has the same rights, or maybe they have the same rights, maybe they don't. Okay, maybe one guy owns 80% of the company and the other guy just owns 20%. Okay, but there could still be arguments in the company. Anyway, unlimited liability still, right? Still they have unlimited liability. I just explained you liability. Okay, unlimited liability basically just means if there are, let's say, two partners, okay, the whole responsibility of running this business is on these two people. Okay, so for example, if they have divided their jobs, for example, I will make, you will sell, and we own 50% of the company, for example, we have unlimited responsibility. If a fire breaks out at night, we both have to wake up and get there. Okay, so unlimited liability in a partnership as well. Okay, however, the responsibility is divided, but still it's unlimited. Okay, lack of capital. Okay, smaller companies investments are compared to larger companies. Smaller capital investments as compared to larger companies, right? So for example, 20 people, for example, if there are 20 people, usually they are not, right? So if there are 20 people, okay, they still can invest less money in a company than a large corporation can, for example, right? No continuity. Okay, so for example, if an owner dies or retires, the business dies with them. Okay, so for example, let's say one person is let's say the active partner and one person is the sleeping partner, or both of them are active and one of them dies, well, maybe the one who died knew how to run the business and the one who is still alive has no idea to run a business. However, he or she has invested the money in the business and has become a partner and all. So if an owner dies, then the business dies with them. Okay, usually it does. So there we go. Okay, now we come to joint stock companies. Okay, joint stock companies, these companies can sell shares unlike partnership and sole traders to raise capital. Okay, so what happens is, for example, if you were to open a sole trading business, right, and then for example you were having a very nice business, right, and the business is running fine and everything, now you need, obviously when you started, started with less money, less capital, less investment, small place and everything, and now you want to grow, right, because you know your product has been proven. Okay, your product works and it sells a lot and you're making a lot of profit, and now you want to maybe, you know, like maybe you were producing 10 pieces a day and now maybe you want to make 100 pieces a day. Okay, because the world requires it, kind of thing, right? So if your product is selling very nice, okay, then you need to hurry up, speed up things, right? So you need bigger machinery, you need a bigger place to work at, you need more money and stuff. So what do is you become a joint stock company. A joint stock company, what it does is makes a share, okay, and then sells that share to someone. Okay, so this guy who buys the share actually does not own the company as per speaking, right? He or she owns the share. Okay, however, he or she does not have a lot of say in the company. Okay, so if you were buying, let's say, 10 shares of a company, okay, you don't have a lot of say in the company. However, you are like kind of a partner kind of thing in that company. Okay, the lines are very gray. There is a gray area, you see. If you buy 50% of the stock of a company, okay, you become 50% partnership of the company, right? So the people who buy stocks from are known as shareholders. Okay, and they receive dividend. Okay, so whatever profit the company is making, they receive dividend on that amount. Okay, the shareholder in the companies have limited liability. This is only their individual investments are at risk. The business fails or leaves debts. Okay, if the company owes money, it can be sued and taken to court, but its shareholders cannot. Okay, so this is where I tell you the part where I told you about limited liability. Okay, legally speaking, limited liability, where if the company owes somebody money, the company can be taken to the court. However, the shareholders cannot be, because they're not actively participating in the company. The company also enjoys continuity, you see. Unlike partnership and sole traders, this is the business continues even if the owner dies. Okay, they just hire another manager maybe and continue with the business. So the business will continue even if the owner dies. Okay, so this is joint stock company. Okay, shareholders can elect a board of director to manage and run the company is day-to-day activities. In small companies, the shareholders with the highest percentage of share invested are directors. Okay, so for example, you were to buy, I don't know, 50% of some company, you become a director of the company, and then you can make board of directors. Okay, and then you can hire some manager or something to take care of day-to-day activity, so the business still goes on if the original owner dies. Okay, so for example, what happened with Microsoft and Bill Gates left Microsoft, however Microsoft is still running. Okay, and we all know about Apple. Okay, Steve Jobs dies in Apple. Steve Jobs died. Okay, Apple is still a company and it still keeps continuing selling its stuff. Okay, so gave you a very famous example. I am sure there is not a person in the world who doesn't know either Bill Gates or Steve Jobs. Okay, so there we go. Now there are two types of companies. There's a subclassification of joint stock companies. Okay, there is a private limited company. Okay, one or more owners can sell its shares to only the people known by existing shareholders. Okay, so private limited company can sell their stocks to only the people they know. Okay, they can't sell it to, they can't make it like, they cannot sell it to just anybody. Okay, they can actually sell it to anybody as long as they know them, you know, like they can grab investors from somewhere else and go like, I'm going to sell it to you. This is private limited company. You're not advertising your share, you see. You're just selling it to someone maybe you know. Okay, maybe you met someone and he or she is interested in spending money in your company, so you can sell them stocks. So this is private. You do not advertise, but you can still sell. Okay, but you can't just sell it to anybody. Usually it's friends and family, you see. Anyway, now we come to the other part where you can sell it to everybody. Really, it's called public limited company. Okay, two or more owners who can sell its shares to any individuals, organizations in a general public through stock exchange. Okay, so not very hard. Private limited companies do not advertise their shares and they sell it to people who they know, most likely family or friends. Okay, so friends is basically quite broad, isn't it? So a public limited company, they can sell their stock through stock exchange. Okay, so anybody, any Tom Dick Harry can come along and buy their shares and become a partner or let's say shareholder in their company. Okay, now let me tell you about advantages of a joint stock company. Okay, now I've already told you that joint stock companies are two types of companies, private and public. I've already explained the private and public part of you. Let me tell you a general advantage of a joint stock company. Number one, limited liability. Okay, this is because the company and the shareholders have separate legal identities. Okay, a company, maybe a company is called Apple. Okay, and the stockholder, maybe there are hundreds and thousands of stockholders. Okay, however, the stockholders do not hold any responsibility if the company does something wrong, makes something illegal, or they cannot be taken to the court. Okay, so limited liability. Okay, it raises a lot of amount of capital. Okay, for example, if you can sell your stock to family and friends, anybody who's rich really, and if you can sell it on stock market and you can like sell it to anybody, right, you can raise a lot of money in a very short amount of time. Okay, all you have to do is make your stocks available and that's about it really, isn't it? Another advertisement is public limited companies can advertise their shares and they can find people who want to invest in their company from around the world. Okay, from anywhere around the world, anybody who has money, come along, let's do some work, right? So that's another advantage, you can advertise, right? Disadvantages. Now we come to the sweet part. Disadvantage: required to disclosure financial information. Okay, so public limited or private limited companies, because there are shareholders, okay, you need to make your financial information public. Okay, you need to publish it annually. Okay, and show it to everybody, because you don't know how many, for example, if you're a public limited company, you don't know how many partners you have. Okay, maybe you have like 100 partners, 200 partners, 500 partners. So you need to make this part of the financial information public. Okay, so anybody can read it at any time. Okay, private limited companies cannot sell shares to the public. Okay, so disadvantage of a private limited company is that it cannot sell to public. Okay, can only be sold to people that they know with an agreement of other stockholders. Okay, so you have to agree with other people before you can sell it to someone, right? So everybody has to be in agreement. Okay, in private limited company. However, in a public limited company, you can just sell it to any Tom Dick Harry and nobody cares. Okay, as long as the money is coming in, that's about it, isn't it? Public limited companies require a lot of legal documents. Okay, an investigation before it can list in the stock exchange. Obviously there has to be, I suppose, if you already reach stock exchange, I suppose there has to be a lot of investigation, who you are, where you coming from, what product are you making, and stuff like that. Public and private limited companies hold annual meetings, okay, called AGM, or annual journal meeting, where all stockholders are informed about the performance on of the company and the company's decisions. Okay, there are votes on strategic decision and election board of directors. This is very expensive to set up, especially if there is thousands of shareholders. Okay, if there are thousands of shareholders, you need to make an annual party where you tell everybody what you've been doing all year, you see. And obviously because they need to be aware of it. For example, if you have, let's say, thousands of shareholders, you cannot call them in the office and tell them one by one. Okay, you arrange a big party where everybody comes, eats, drinks, enjoys themselves, and gets information of whatever you were doing the whole year, and how much you earned and how much you lost and stuff like that. Okay, they need to know because they've invested their money. So simple as that. Okay, public limited companies may have managerial problems, right? So there we are. Okay, since they are very large, they are very difficult to manage. Communication problem may occur, which will slow down decision making. Okay, so do remember, if you are a sole trader, you can make decisions on the fly, right? So for example, if you need to hire someone, hire someone. If you want to fire someone, fire someone. How many people do you hire? You think of it yourself. How many people you need to fire? You think of it yourself. In a public limited companies, the decision have to be made by the hierarchy. Okay, by the people sitting on the top. Okay, so the manager has some rights, but he doesn't have all the rights. Okay, so he has to wait for them to make a decision in order to get it working, and it can take a lot of time because there are lots of shareholders and everybody has to agree in the major decisions, not in the small decisions, not the everyday workings, right? In public limited, there may be a divorce of ownership and control. Okay, so in public limited companies, the owner might or might not control the company, right? The shareholders can lose control of the company when other large shareholders overvote them, and with boards of director control company decisions. For example, you opened a company, right? You opened a company and then you made it public limited company, and then you sold your shares to someone, okay? And they made a board of directors, and now, even though it was your idea and you made the company work and you made the company big, now you have no longer any say because the board of directors can overrule you. Okay, so you kind of lose your own company. They can kick you out. Okay, so you made everything, they can kick you out. So public limited company, I'm sure everybody wants a public limited company. Anyway, so there are disadvantages of being big. Anyway, now we come to the second last part, called franchises, right? So franchises, what are franchises? Okay, the owner of the business grants a license to another person or business to use their business idea. So for example, everybody's heard of KFC, right? Everybody's heard of KFC. There is not a person who doesn't know about KFC. So what KFC does, okay, for example, in Pakistan there is a KFC, in India there is a KFC, in everywhere else there is a KFC, but the KFC itself is not there. You see, KFC has a general idea. Okay, it has a basic idea. They sell chicken. Okay, so they sell you their idea, their brand, their name. Basically, you represent them. Okay, and in return, they give you a license. They give you a license to run their business somewhere else, and then in return you pay them money. Okay, and for example, in case of KFC, you buy chicken from KFC. Okay, so you can't just grab a chicken, cut it and fry it and call yourself KFC. No, you have to follow their secret way ingredients and stuff, secret ingredients, right? Anyway, so that is franchise. Okay, they give you their idea, they give you a license to use their idea. Okay, a license can be limited. For example, they give you a license for, let's say, 2 years, 10 years, whatever, and after that 2 or 10 years and they choose not to renew your license, then you cannot run a KFC. So simple as that, isn't it? So there could be many types of licenses. For example, there could be one-off fees, so you pay us this much and you get a license for life. There could be a limited license where you are licensed to run KFC, for example, for 1 year, for 2 years, for 10 years, and you have to pay a licensing fees and stuff like that. There are advantages and disadvantages of being a franchise, right? There are two types of the words I'll be using now is franchisor, the person who gives you the franchise or the company that gives you the franchise, and a franchisee. Okay, franchisee is the person who takes the franchise and opens a branch, right? So franchisor, franchisee. Okay, don't be confused. I'll put it up on the screen, don't worry. Okay, now I'll tell you advantages and disadvantages from both points, right? So franchisor and franchisee. Franchisor, the person who sells you the franchise, okay, or KFC themselves. Okay, franchisee, the guy who actually opens the branch of a KFC and invests his money in making it, okay, or buys the license, for example. Okay, now the advantages to franchisor. Okay, now all we are talking about right now is franchisor until obviously I change the topic. Okay, so be with me, right? So a rapid low cost method of business expansion. Okay, so what happens is a franchisor gives you a license, okay, to open his or her business idea, to expand the business idea, and you go in expand the business idea, right? So you spend your money and you buy a place on rent, and then you open the branch. Okay, so a franchisor just gives it to you, you just open a branch. Okay, you spend your own money in opening the branch. So franchisor expands the business, right? So very easy way to expand the business. Basically, the franchisor just sells you the name, really, and they won't give you the secret ingredient. So there we are. Gets an income from the franchisee in forms of franchise fees and royalties. Okay, so the franchisor gets money from you in form of franchise fees, which you will maybe pay every year, and then gets loyalties from you because you'll have to buy, for example, if you're KFC, chicken from them, okay, and fries from them and packaging from them, and you can't just go make your own packaging and your own chicken and start selling. No, you have to buy from them, so they get loyalties back. Okay, franchisee will better understand the local taste and so can advertise and sell properly. Okay, franchisor will give you a license to run their business and to use their name and their product and their secret recipe in case of KFC. Okay, and franchisee knows better the local market and can advertise much better than the franchisor itself, because maybe the franchisor is not from the same company. Okay, a franchisor can access ideas and suggestions from franchisee. Okay, so if you, for example, buy a license from someone and maybe you have a new idea of something, you can tell it to your franchisor and franchisor can access information from you. Okay, franchisee will run the operations. Okay, so franchisee will run the operations. Franchisor just pays you a license and sits on their ass all day long. Okay, and you keep paying them, so you basically pay them for their name and their reputation, and you run the whole everyday business, so they don't need to worry. All they need to do is make sure you have what it takes to be on their standard. Okay, so there we are. Okay, all these advantages from the franchisor point of view. Okay, now the disadvantage from franchisor point of view is profits from franchise needs to be shared with the franchisee. Okay, so profit from the franchise needs to be shared with the franchisee. For example, they could be For example, a franchisor sells you a chicken for $2 and then you sell it for $4. So the franchisor needs to share profit with you. Okay, so disadvantage from the franchisor point of view. You see, on the other hand, franchisee is happy, isn't it? So there we go. Loss of control over running the business. Okay, so the franchisor does not have control over how he or she runs the business, right? So franchisee runs the business. Franchisor just gives you a license, so he does not have control. So that's a disadvantage. They do not have control on how everyday things are run. Okay. If one franchise fails, okay, if one franchise fails, it can affect the reputation of the entire business. Okay, so for example, if you find a rat in KFC, okay, you will say, I found a rat in KFC. Okay, so the brand name is affected. Okay, so brand name is very important. Okay, so for example, you find a mouse in KFC, you will not know whether it's a franchise or not, and you will say, I found a mouse in KFC. The reputation of KFC would be spoiled. However, KFC did not have any say in everyday business. Okay, so they actually did not have any idea that there would be rats in KFC, for example, because they're not managing it. You see, another disadvantage is franchisee may not be skilled, right? So franchisee may not be skilled. It just be maybe a spoiled child who has a lot of money and buys a license from you, goes opens a branch. Okay, doesn't kill all the rats, and you find rats in the KFC, and you shout about it, and KFC has to pay the price. They might not know how to run a business. A franchisee might not know how to run a business, tries to run a business and fails. Okay, so the whole chain is then affected. Because KFC is affected, not the franchisee, because nobody knows the franchisee, everybody knows KFC. They don't care who owns this branch of KFC and who owns that branch of KFC. And one branch of a KFC can be owned by someone else, and another branch can be owned by someone else, and the branch next to it can be owned by someone else. So, you know, a franchisee may not be skilled and might spoil the game for everybody. Need to supply raw material products and provide support and training. Okay, so that's another loss, another disadvantage of on the point of franchisor. Okay, that when they provide their license, they have to provide trainings, and they have to provide equipment and materials and products, you know, in order to have a uniform products, uniform shape of the place, uniform colors, uniform cooking, right? So they have to provide training. So that's a disadvantage on the point of franchisor. Okay, now we come to the franchisee. Okay, now we come to the point of from the point of view of franchisee. Okay, franchisee, the advantages are an established brand and trademark, so chances of business failing is low. Okay, so this is an advantage. The brand has already been established. The people already like it. Okay, the taste has already been established. People already like it, so they don't have to market. They don't have to actually they don't have to sell you the thing. You already want it. Okay, so they don't have to make a new brand, start from scratch, and introduce to people and all. People already know what to expect. They already know what taste to expect, and they just come and buy it, really. So the first day you open the shop, you are as good as the last day. Okay, so you don't have to suffer loss, and the business is already good, so there is a very low risk of failing. Okay, you can only fail it basically if you don't know what you're doing, really. Okay, so franchisor will give technical and managerial support. Okay, so the franchisor will give franchisee technical and managerial support. Okay, so you get technical and managerial support from the franchisor. Okay, and that's a big advantage. If you're running a new business and you have no idea how to run it, they will give you the technical support to run it. Okay, a franchisor will supply the raw material and products. So you don't have to go to the shop and buy your raw materials. you'll just get everything from the franchisor. So you already know where to get it from, and you already know what the prices are, and if they increase the prices, they will always give you a new list, so you are never in loss. Okay, so that are the advantages. Now what are the disadvantages? Cost of setting up a business is a disadvantage. Okay, because if you own your own brand, okay, you can spend less or more money depending on whatever you need. Okay, however, if you buy a franchise from someone, there are certain things you have to do, certain brandings you have to make, certain colors that you have to use, certain products that you have to use. Okay, with that being said, let's come to the next point. No full control over the business, needs to strictly follow franchisors standards and rules. Okay, so a franchisee has to follow all the rules of the franchisor. Okay, for example, the colors, the brands, the taste, how many minutes to fry, how many minutes not to fry, and how to present it, how not to present it, and stuff like that. They have to follow all the rules, so they don't have full control over their business. They still have to follow the instructions of the franchisor. Profits have to be shared with the franchisor. Okay, so when they get the profit, they have to share it with the franchisor, and that is one of the perks of being a franchisor. Okay, so disadvantage of franchisee, however, an advantage for franchisor. Need to pay franchisor franchise fees and loyalties, right? So franchisee, the guy who bought the license, has to pay annual fees in addition to the loyalties every year or every so often. Need to advertise and promote the business in the region themselves. Okay, so the franchisee will have to advertise themselves. They know the place, they know how to advertise, so they will advertise themselves. So with the advantages and the disadvantage of franchisor, the guy who gives you the license, and the franchisee, or now we'll come to the last point of our syllabus, or the point in the syllabus called joint ventures. Okay, joint venture is an agreement between two or more companies to work together on a project. Okay, now a joint venture does not have to be an agreement to maybe join two companies. No, a joint venture, maybe you're working together. For example, everybody's heard of a mobile. No, maybe you haven't, but Sony Ericsson. So Sony and Ericsson worked together in order to make one product. Okay, and obviously the product is there no more, but still you might have heard of it. It's history. Okay, everybody has heard of an advertisement called Got Milk. Okay, I will put the advertisement here. The advertisement was Got Milk, and this was with the milk company and Kellogg's, I think. I don't remember exactly which milk. I will put the advertisement here and you can have a look. So Got Milk was an advertisement company. When you are, for example, advertising milk, there are not a lot of interesting ways to advertise milk. So what the milk company did is joined up with Kellogg's, okay, and put a Kellogg's thingy there and said Got Milk, because you can't eat cornflakes without milk. You understand that point. Okay, so that is one of the examples where they two or more people or two or more companies or two or more businesses work together on a project, on a single project. Maybe that project can go on for years and can be really small. For example, Google Earth is a joint venture between Google and NASA. Okay, so that's one. Okay, advantages of a joint venture: reduce risk and cut costs. You see, so for example, if you buy a juice and it advertises something, for example, it advertises get 20 minutes free talk time from T-Mobile, for example, so that's called a joint venture. Okay, or maybe some other company can advertise some other company's things, and that could be called a joint venture. For example, if Kellogg's puts small toys inside their box, or maybe discount vouchers inside their box, so when you open cornflakes and you eat cornflakes and you get 20% off your movie theater, so that is also a joint venture. So it reduces risks and cuts costs. You see, each businesses bring different expertise to the joint venture. Like as I told you, Got Milk advertisement. Okay, they were finding it very hard to advertise milk, so they joined up with Kellogg's, and They put a Kellogg's box there and said, got milk, the market potential for all the businesses in the joint venture is increased, right? So basically two businesses are getting advertised together. Okay, so if you like that product, if you like that business, you will maybe find out about this business. If you like this business, you'll find out about that business, and they both get advertised. Market and product knowledge can be shared on the benefit of the businesses. Okay, so maybe they have certain way of doing things, and maybe that is better, so market and product knowledge can be shared, and that is an advantage to both the businesses. Okay, now we talk about the disadvantage. Any mistake made will reflect on both parties in a joint venture. This will damage their reputation. Okay, so if one company in a joint venture does something wrong, okay, it affects both the companies, the name of both the companies, because they did it in a joint venture and not alone. Okay, so that's one of the disadvantages. The decision making process may be ineffective due to the different business cultures and different style of leaderships, right? So one company has different style of leadership, the other has a different style of leadership, and they might not have enough meetings to put everything in the right place. So those are the advantages and disadvantages of a joint venture. Now with that said and done, okay, we come to the last part of the syllabus, which is business organization in public sector, therefore public corporations, right? So I need to explain to you what a public corporation is. Now public corporation is different from joint ventures and sole ownership and everything. What is a public sector company? Okay, notice the word public. Okay, so don't be confused. Okay, when they ask you random questions in an exam, don't be confused. A public simply means owned by government. Okay, so owned by government for public, right? So you can join it up, kind of thing. You don't actually need to learn and write down these meanings, and now just listen to me and you should be all right. Public sector corporation and business owned by the government or run by directors appointed by the government. Okay, so they're usually essential services like water, electricity, health services, etc., like that. Their main target is not to make money. Okay, understand this. Every other business that I was talking about, the main point, the main thing that they want to do, or their main business plan, is to make money. Okay, in a public sector company, their main objective is not to make money. Okay, so for example, it is not to say that their objective is not to make money. They still have an objective to make money, but that's not the main point of opening the business, right? So they don't open to make money. They open to provide public with essential services that is necessary for them to survive. Okay, for example, water, electricity, health, and stuff like that. Okay, however, their main objective, okay, is to keep the prices low so everybody can afford it, to keep people employed, and to offer services to the public everywhere. Okay, so this is their main focus. Okay, and making money is not one of them. Making money could still be a part of it. Okay, that maybe they want to make less loss, or maybe still be in profit. Okay, but that's not the main part of it. Okay, that's not the main part. Okay, so just leave it at that. Okay, now there are advantages of a public sector. Okay, or public sector corporation. Advantages: some businesses are considered too important to be owned by individuals. Okay, for example, let's say a water company in your country, in your city, is owned by a private company, and the private company wants to make money. Okay, that's the basic thing. Okay, then maybe they'll make the water so expensive that you can't afford it. Okay, so some things are very important and cannot be relied on by profit making companies. Okay, they need to be run by government. Okay, so some things are too important. For example, water, electricity. For example, imagine if you can't get electricity, that'd be bad, isn't it? So a private company cannot be trusted, so a government corporation has to run it. Okay, other business considered natural monopolies are controlled by the government. Okay, for example, electricity and water, these are considered natural monopolies. Okay, for example, if you control electricity, you control the whole country. So this is very important. So if you control the electricity, you control the whole company, a whole city, and if you control the whole city, then you can make your, you can do whatever you want, really. And you can just go like, oh, I'll cut off your electricity. Huh? Or water, for example. If you, for example, because these are natural monopolies, right? So for example, a company who wants to make profit supplies you with electricity, right? And now imagine they want to make profit. Okay, they want to make profit. They give you, well, $200 a unit, please, right? So you can't afford it. Okay, because they want to make as much profit as they can, and they will stop at nothing to make more profit than they have to, and you will be in disadvantage. Okay, because there is nobody else to supply you the electricity. If you want electricity, you can only get it from them, and there is no other way. And same thing with water. It becomes a natural monopoly, because if they stop your water, then it is hard for you to survive. Okay, so these become natural monopolies, and therefore are controlled by government. Let me remind you, sometimes they are not. Okay, sometimes they're not controlled by the government. Okay, the same thing happened in UK. Okay, UK, not all the electricity, gas, water is controlled by the government. Okay, there are private companies that do the same thing. For example, telecommunications. Okay, there are private companies in all the countries that do telecommunications, and therefore are competitive with the government and all. Okay, reduce waste in the industry. So government corporation reduces waste. Okay, rescue important businesses when they are falling through naturalization. Okay, ये मुझे नहीं पता क्या nationalization. I have no idea what that means. Provide essential services to the people. Okay, so the government sector or the public sector corporations will provide essential services to the people. Okay, now we come to the drawbacks. Okay, because there are always disadvantages or drawbacks of a public sector corporation. Okay, or anything really. Motivation might be as high, because profit is not an objective. So they are not motivated to give you extra clean water or efficient electricity or stuff like that, because money is not a matter, money is not an object, and they just they're not motivated. They're not motivated by money. How exactly are you going to motivate them? So they're not motivated. Okay, they don't care about you. Anyway, subsidies lead to efficiency. Okay, subsidies lead to inefficiency. Okay, it is also considered unfair for private businesses. Okay, so for example, the government subsidizes. Okay, and therefore inefficient process has been used to do certain things, right? So for example, if there was a private company doing the same thing as a public sector company, okay, they will be doing it more efficiently. Okay, they'll be reducing the manpower, they will be reducing to get more profitable kind of thing. And because government companies just get subsidized by the government, so subsidizes are inefficient. So if a person is not actually doing anything all day long, he's still employed by them, and so on and so forth. Another drawback is there is normally no competition to public corporations, so there is no incentive to improve, right? So they don't need to improve, because they have no competition. Okay, they don't care. Okay, because either you take service from them or don't take it from them. Okay, and then because these are essential services, you have to take it from them, so you don't have a choice. So they don't want to improve because they have no competition. They don't care about you, they just care about their own asses. Anyway, businesses can be run by government popularity. Businesses can be run for government popularity. Okay, so they might open a business, okay, just to make the government popular. Okay, so there might be no use of it in the country, or maybe the service is not needed. However, the government needs to show, we did something, so the business might just be run because the government feels like it. Okay, even if it is required or is not required. Okay, hopefully I have explained to you the type of business organization. Okay, if you are still with me, more power to you. Okay, I doubt you're still here. Anyway, types of business organization we covered. This is chapter 1.4. Subpart 1.4.1, there is actually just one part, the main features and different form of business organizations. So I've already told you: sole trader, partnership, private, public limited company, franchise, and joint ventures. I will put a little table here, and I will make this table available to you to be printable if you, I don't know, maybe want to understand more or something about, a table which basically tells you in a shortcut what each and every company does, right? So you can learn that. You don't have to learn the whole thing. Okay, just, because I know this time I always tell you not to learn, right? I tell you to understand. If as long as you understand, you will have no problems whatsoever. However, as these types of business organization is a bit complicated, I will leave a small table for you. All you have to do is have a look at this table, maybe print it out, keep it in your pocket, have a look, and you should be okay. You don't need to learn everything that I have taught you at the moment. Okay, keep listening to me, keep following the chapter. If you are still here, press the subscribe button, press the bell icon, press everything else, whatever you find near you. Okay, watch my next video, follow me in every chapter, and you should get an A grade. Okay, actually, let me just tell you this: I guarantee you A grade if you were to follow all my chapters, finished with me to the end, and you should get an A grade. Should not take you long. And don't make notes. I will drop all the notes in the bottom, in the description, but you don't need to learn it. You don't need to learn notes. You don't need to make notes. You don't need to just understand the point of my conversation, and you should get an A grade very easily. Okay, you might not even think you'll get an E grade, but you will. Okay, just understand what I am saying. Okay, if you do not understand any topic or part of the topic, or you don't understand a single point, for example, in a topic, leave me a comment below. I will try to clear that concept up with you. If I can't, I will make another video for you. Oh yes, I will make another video for you, just explaining that single point in detail. Okay, so you can have a look at that video and clear your concepts. Okay, all you have to do is drop me a comment and you should be golden. Okay, this is your host Mohsin Bukhari, signing out.